I love the sound of snow underfoot. It's got a certain crunch to it. Maybe it's because we all came from the crunch. The big crunch. The big crow. Well, it's almost the hooded half of March, which in Warsaw meant that the hooded crows, which were everywhere, you don't get them here in Glasgow. You can get them on the coast. But what a bird. The wisest of all the corvids. And the way it just struts, it walks more than it flies. And in Warsaw, it just strut the streets, you know, just like any other pedestrian. And the pedestrians in Warsaw, the Warsawians, they, you know, they had a lot of time for the birds. They'd leave bread out and fat balls in winter. They'd leave buckets out with notes on them saying, please leave your bread out, your good bread, for the birds. And for the other animals, and that was because even in the city, the proliferation of greenery, of trees and plants and shrubs was incredible, absolutely. So, I mean, Warsaw wasn't a city, it was a forest out of which a city emerged. Glasgow has its hills, I suppose. And when they're snow-capped, it's wonderful. And even when they're not snow-capped, it's wonderful. I just watched that brutal little film, because there was a remake recently made, and so I went back to watch the original, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And of course, passing through farms as I do all the time, I kind of realised that what the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was, effectively, was a meditation on meat eating. And the brutality of a farm. And this brutality hidden behind the veneer of beauty, of quietness, of calmness. And it's that bit where they approached the white villa, you know, the country house, and it's wonderful, it's a lovely country house, and little did they know what lay behind those lovely doors. And this is what happens when you pass through a farm, and you know, I mean, I've passed through hundreds of farms, all the farms around the Glasgow Strath. And out of the hundreds of farms I've passed through, I've only encountered a few where I thought maybe, you know, leather-faced lurks in here. And one of them, I shan't name it, but one of them actually had a signpost, a blood-stained, I shit you not. There was blood on it, and it said, no inspections without announcement, or something like that. It was like, no unannounced inspection. So clearly, the environmental health of whatever farmer union that checks up in farms had spouted a surprise inspection on them, and so they'd put a sign up. But I've passed through a couple, only a couple, where I've had a bit of grief. But considering the hundreds I have passed through, you know, that amounts to nothing, really. I do remember, though, over in Gower, before he put his big fence up, and this is 16 years ago, 2006, that my friend Andy was threatened with a shotgun. He's threatened to shoot him. The farmer threatened to shoot him. But I think it was in jest. But that was over at Gower, up behind the Land Crags, behind Dumbarton. And since then he put up a huge fence, and the right of way was redirected, and it was just through a mud corridor, a toboggan slide basically. So I don't think I've ever been up there since. So well done for the Gower farmer. At any rate, that's my 2 cents worth on the farms and the old Glasgow Chainsaw Massacre.